this by the end of my today's two sessions on the topic outcome-based education. So I am going to cover today these aspects. I'll give you a brief introduction about outcome-based education. What is the meaning of outcome-based education framework? And in that, how to define the outcome and what background of outcome-based education we have to really understand. And graduate competencies and attributes we have to concentrate while we teach. And Bloom's taxonomy, the modified Bloom's taxonomy, we have to understand. And how do we assess the students under outcome-based education framework? And in OB, how to write the CO statements, and how to map, what is the mapping strategy involved between course outcomes and questions and Bloom's taxonomy levels, course outcome and program outcomes or program specific outcomes, etc. And important components of assessment are direct and indirect assessments. So we shall discuss on that. And how to consolidate the results of assessment as an overall assessment. And if time permits, I will be giving you some hands-on training regarding this attainment calculation. So we are all esteemed teachers, and I hope you're all teaching to the students of higher education who are studying in either undergraduation level or post-graduation level. And some of you might be teaching to the doctoral degree students. So our education system started very conventionally. Though it was very conventional, it was very powerful. The Nalanda and Takshashila system of education, Gurukula model of education were so effective and they were very powerful, where the student-centric learning was actually involved. A teacher who used to teach several vidyas, several skills, several techniques to the students. And finally, the teacher was used to assess the learning capability of the student. And according to the requirement of the learning capability of the student, the teacher was used to teach. You can imagine the purpose of teaching and the scenario between Guru Dronacharya and Eklavya. Similarly, the teaching interface between Dronacharya and Kauravas, Dronacharya and Pandavas, Dronacharya and Karna, how the teaching learning process happened there and how the learners have been evolved as effective learners. You can compare between Karna and Partha. So they were all learner-centric education if we accept. Teacher-centric education is totally different. What we are doing and what we did so far is solely teacher-centric teaching process. Teacher-centric teaching process is not at all going to be very effective. What do? We do some teaching work in the classroom. We won't bother whether the student has learned to the maximum extent or not. The teachers are forced to complete the syllabus. The teachers are forced to complete their duties and they are to be discharged. And by the end of the academic term, the students are assessed by giving some formal tests, assignments, seminars, and finally the end semester examinations. And we were not used to measure the capabilities or mentalities or the understanding levels of the students by any means. These are all about the teacher-centric method. But if we look at the education system in the global context, teacher-centric level will not give the justice because present-day learners are globally competitive. They wanted to become global competent. So teachers or the academic institutes have to ensure that the present-day students have to become globally competent. They should not be denied any opportunities given in the global level. Whether the student is learning in the higher education institution located at a remote place or in an urban area or in a 3-tier or 2-tier city, whatever it is, there should not be any discrimination in providing the quality education. So therefore, the present education scenario and also the present education policies are putting sincere efforts in implementing learner-centric education system. What is this learner-centric education system? So you can see this triangular connection in the learner-centric education system. In the learner-centered education system, the teacher has to take care of teaching and completing all the learning activities to a learner. Then you have to question yourself, how can I facilitate that learning? So whether the learning is happening properly or not, is there any other aids we have to provide to the learner? Learners are grabbing the information, what has been served by me. You have to put these questions in front of you. Then only you will try to find the answer. Accordingly, you can give the justice to the learners. Then once you teach, the next step is assessment task. Assessment is not a simply conducting the test or giving some assignment or conducting the seminar or doing viva examination and all. You have to understand the total capability of the student. Why have you taught him? What did you taught him? And what he has to do, what he is capable to do. So these three questions are to be found the answers themselves while assessment. So you have to do the assessment in such a way that you have to understand the student is capable of doing what is intended. And that what is intended is going to be the learning outcome. So the student wanted to achieve something. The student wanted to become an engineer. The student wanted to become a professor. The student wanted to become a researcher or a scientist. So all those skills which are required to become employed or researcher or a scientist, skills will be different from one domain to another domain. So all those skills are to be taught by the teacher. Therefore, the teacher will be having very big responsibility. So while doing the assessment, you have to understand that how do I know that learning does happen? Whatever you are teaching is happening properly or not? Is it serving the proper goods to the learner or not? Whether the intended outcome is going to be achieved by the student or not. So these you have to inspect yourself. So if you are capable to understand the level of understanding of the student, then only you can repeat whether the teaching is required again. The same topic is to be taught again, or some advanced aspect related to the topic is to be taught. So these things to be understood by the teacher. Then the intended learning outcomes are to be understood by the teacher. What is this? So the intended learning outcomes, nothing but you will have the capacity to understand what students wants to learn. What do I want my students to learn? So what students are interested, that you have to teach. What students are interested, that you have to teach, whether it is physics or mathematics or chemistry or history or economics. If you take any subtopics, microeconomics, macroeconomics, Indian share market, or Ramayana, Mahabharata, whatever it is, what the learner is intended to learn, that you have to teach. So what the student is required, that intention you have to understand. So you have to understand the students in more quantity. The quantity is a relative term here, that is with respect to the knowledge, that is with respect to the requirement. So you have to understand the student's status of mind. Then you have to serve the teaching job. So this is how, this is a triangular representation of the learner-centric education system, where we have to combat all the issues which are observed in the teacher-centric education system. You have to subject the student to learn through participations, through experiences, through problem solving mode of approach, or various other conducive environment you have to create for a student to better make him learn. So in this arena, outcome-based education has been designed long back ago, where the teaching job should be very systematic. You're not supposed to deny the opportunity for the students or for the learners. Each and every intended outcomes are to be served to the students. The students should not feel that they have lost something during their education days, during their education tenure. So you just keep this picture in your mind about the outcome-based education framework, where there are various components, teaching, learning, assessment, attainment, COs, POs, PSOs, PLOs, PEOs, vision, mission, and gas graduate attributes. Let me come back to this later. So before I proceed to deliver insights of my topic, outcome-based education, it is very essential to understand the meaning of the outcome. Outcome is very simple to define. You do any work, what is the result of that? That is the outcome. Outcome is a relative term. Whether you are running on the track, or you are writing on a paper, or you are reading a newspaper, or you are watching the news, what is the consequence of that watching the news? What is the consequence of running on the track? Why do you go to your college? Why do you go to your institute? Why do you do some qualitative tests? Or why do you prepare a table? So these are all the works. And what is the consequence? What is the resultant consequence from that particular work is known as outcome. So outcome can be defined as it is a consequence or result of an action or activity or a process or performance. So the outcome can be defined as it is simply the observable results or achievements of an educational process. If you integrate the outcome to the education system, the real outcome in the education system or in the process of educating the students is simply it is a result of the achievement what the students or what the learners are going to give. So that is known as the outcome. So outcome can be seen in the form of the knowledge, skills, attitude, and values in students. What kind of knowledge the students are getting, what kind of skills the students have been cultivated, what kind of attitude they are getting developed, what values they have acquired. So these are the consequences. These are the results which are transparent from their total behavior. So they are put under the outcomes. So all these accessories, all these skills, all these installments should be implemented in the students through their educational experiences. These are exactly going to be the intended learning outcomes in the students that we wanted to anticipate the students to acquire. So this is all to be the expected achievements by the end of a class, or by the end of a semester, or by the end of a degree program. Once a student joined your institute, different teachers will be teaching different courses throughout the semester, throughout the year, throughout the academic tenure, maybe for 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years, whatever it is. If it is undergraduate degree, it is 3 years. If it is honors degree, it is 4 years. If it is master's degree, it is 2 years, etc. So what is the expected achievement, whether the student has really done it or not, you have to assess. You have to assess. That is the outcome. So if you feel the student has got all the requirements, has got all the competency, all the skills, the knowledge which is going to be imparted in order to make him become employable or not. So this is what really we can define the outcome. So outcome in outcome-based education can be simply defined as it is the consequence or the result of an action or activity, process or performance, etc. So there are two important terms you have to understand in outcome-based education. So outcome-based education or outcome-based learning, both can be put under the same umbrella in outcome-based education framework. So if a student joined for an undergraduate degree or a post-graduation degree or a doctoral degree or any diploma or postgraduate diploma, whatever it is, the outcome is going to be simply a sheet of paper, that is the marks card. And by means of the marks, we are able to express what quantity of the knowledge he has got. That may not be true sometimes. A student who has scored 99%, he may not be good enough or she may not be good enough to score that marks. But we don't know what are the means to score that 99% of the marks, 9.9 CGPA even it is. But the outcome is It is the competency or the quality of the knowledge the student has acquired. That is outcome. Say nowadays, many ambiguities are created across the globe, across the world. Many graduates are not employable. Why? Output is good, but the outcome is very poor. They don't have the skills. They don't have the appropriate knowledge to get survived themselves. They are not competent enough globally. So many graduates are not employable. Even they are not able to get shortlisted to the second round of the interview. So why these problems are? These problems are simply because of the traditional education system, what we are implemented. The skills we are implementing in the students are not good enough. They are not up to the mark, and they are not supporting the students to become employable. So, dear teachers, please keep in your mind that teaching is not a simple job. Teaching is not a job to make the students to have so many marks cards in their hands. Of course, they might have 2 undergraduation degree or 3 post-graduation degree. They might have done 2 PhD degree, whatever it is. Teachers are having very big responsibilities that you have to make those marks cards are to be qualitative one. How? They should have the outcome. The students should have the outcome. Students should be inculcated with the skills, the abilities, the competency. Therefore, they should not be denied any opportunities across the globe. I hope now you have understood about the definition of the outcome. Okay. Under the outcome-based education, you have to understand the definition of certain various other terminologies. So they are acquired competencies. So, outcome should be a competency. It is not a simple qualification. Of course, it is also a qualification. Outcome is not only the qualification, but also the competency. Competency means it is simply the expertise or the skills acquired by the student, acquired by the learner by the end of the undergraduation program or the post-graduation program, whatever it is. So that is the competency. Say, uh, thermodynamics you have taught to the students, microeconomics you have taught to the students, regarding preparation of the budget you have taught to the student in the classroom. When you put to the practical aspect, the student is not able to implement that. Then what do you call that student? That student is less competent. Then how can we expect that student to compete in the global level? It is very, very difficult. It is very difficult. So this is what you have to keep in your mind always, that this outcome should be sought in students. Therefore, that should be grown into a big tree. And definitely, once he become researcher or a teacher or a worker in any organization, then he will definitely serve in a better way to the society. In the society, your son or daughter may be there. Don't forget that. You are teacher to so many students. If you make those students, your students, to be very competent enough with competencies which are very much essential in the global level, then definitely, no doubt, your children will become competent enough. You keep this in your mind. So don't worry about the qualification. Don't force the students to score 99% of the marks. Assure that. Though, along with the 99% of the marks, they have to acquire the relative competencies through their program. So that is very essential. Then another thing is acquiring the knowledge against its utilization. Of course, I have a knowledge. I have a double degree, triple degree. I am very expertised in outcome-based education. So even though I have scored 99% marks in the outcome-based education topic, if I am not able to convey the matter related to outcome-based education to the audience, what is the use of that? So I have a knowledge in chemistry. If I am not able to use the knowledge of chemistry in the laboratory in the context of the practical aspects, what is the use of that chemistry knowledge? That is very important. That is outcome-based education. You have the knowledge that is reflected in your marks card. So whether it is really applicable to the practical context or not, this you have to put the question. If you find the answer, real answer to this, true answer to this, then you can feel it as it is utilized. This is outcome-based education. And another important thing is your role is not only to serve the knowledge, you also need to serve the skill. What kind of skill it is? That skill should be integratable with the knowledge. That skill should be integrated with the knowledge. This is known as the synergism. The synergic inculcation of the skill with the knowledge. Knowledge is from the subject domain. Skill is the graduate attribute. What the student has really acquired the skill, that skill should be integrated with the knowledge. If this is good enough, definitely you will survive. Definitely the learner will survive. So you keep these three things in your mind and teach in the classroom. Definitely the student will like you. You can make more number of students to become globally competent because their competency level will be in the higher level. The demand will be there for them. Therefore, consequently, the demand for your higher education institution will also be. You keep this in your mind. Then another important aspect, as I told at the beginning, is the graduate attributes. These graduate attributes are interrelated to the competency and competent character of the graduates. What are graduate attributes? They can be simply denoted as GAS, GAS. These are the qualities or the skills or understandings acquired by the students. So they are studying in BA, BSc, BCom, BBA, BCA, BVOC, BTech, BE, whatever it is. During their course of study, what are the skills, what are the competent skills they are acquiring? They should be good enough. These are known as graduate attributes. So what is the use of acquiring these graduate attributes? These graduate attributes will make those students to become employable. They will survive for their careers. They will shine in their future and they will become good citizens. So that's what graduate attributes are very, very important. So 1 hour you are assigned to go to the classroom. In that 1 hour, you are not only supposed to teach only your subject. You have to assure that through that 1 hour lecture or through that 4 hours of practical class, the required graduate attribute has been acquired by the student, acquired by the learner. This you have to ensure. That is the purpose or the objective of the outcome-based education in the context of global scenario. So I have listed here some examples of graduate attributes. Firstly and foremost, the disciplinary knowledge. This is nothing but subject content, the domain knowledge this is. Whether the student is learning history or chemistry or physics or environmental engineering or human anatomy, whatever it is related to the subject domain, various skills he has to adapt, he has to learn. This is one important that is put under the top graduate attribute. Another one is the critical thinking and problem solving skills. This is very important. Where our students are lacking, most of the students who are studying in Indian higher education institutions, as per the report released by Indian higher education system, the Indian students are lacking with the critical thinking skills and problem solving skills. The studies in Indian higher education institutions are always marks oriented. They do bothering only for the marks, not for their skills, not for their abilities to solve the problems. They do not think critically. All of a sudden, if there is one big problem arises in front of them, how to solve that? Say while performing an experiment, some minor problems will be arising. So students used to call the teacher, sir, this instrument is not working. I am not getting the proper results. Say these are the silly, silly problems. If you are able enough, good enough to teach simple problem solving skills in your level, then definitely they will try to adapt those skills and they will be able to extend that to the future. Suppose if they join any industry, most of the times the employee will be under the situation of problem solving, solving the problems. If the employee is not good enough in solving the problem, he will be sacked, no doubt. So that is a big shame to the learner, big shame to your graduate, big shame to your alumni. This you have to keep in your mind. So they have to think very critically why this is happening. So if you make the classroom as the dialogue session, means there should be an interaction between the teacher and the student, then only you can inculcate the problem solving skills in students. Otherwise, it is not at all possible. Giving the lecture for 30 minutes and dictating the notes for another 10 minutes and speaking some other thing for another 10 minutes, that doesn't looks good. So outcome-based education demands the student has to acquire all the essential skills. Then only you will have the essences to become globally competent. Another challenging task is communication skill. Say, I have seen many students that when we say them to speak in English for 5 minutes, they will hesitate. Some will hesitate because they don't know. Some will hesitate because they are not comfortable. So this gap should be filled. This gap should be addressed by the teacher. You have to make the learner to speak effectively, fluently, whether it is right or wrong. You have to create the dais, you have to create the platform for the learner so that he can effectively communicate to you, then to the neighbors. Not necessarily on other things. You make the learner to speak on the subject. If not possible, you make the student to speak on the current affairs, what has been happened yesterday or today or day before yesterday, related to the science, related to your topic, etc. Let him speak for 2 minutes early in the first stage, primary stage. Then you extend that to 5 minutes. You have better interaction. Definitely, you will come under the successful career. Then another thing is teamwork and collaboration. Nowadays, because of the time, you are not able to spend time with the students. You are not allowing the students to involve in the team. You are not allowing the students to collaborate between each other. This is very, very important. So don't expect all the students to become teachers. Don't expect that all the students will become any officer in the government organizations. You have to make them to be sustained people, sustainable people. How to make them? You have to put the challenges in front of them. So they should have the ability to solve that challenge, to solve that problem. Not only with their independent skills, they have to dependent on their neighbor. They have to collaborate. They have to get the tips from his friend, his neighbor, or a friend studying in another college, or collaboration with the teacher, or collaboration with the senior subordinate, whatever it is. This is how. So any qualitative result will be an outcome of teamwork and the collaboration that you know better. Then another thing is ethics and social responsibility. If you simply give an assignment for a student and he will write the assignment to sake of getting 5 marks or 10 marks out of that assignment, this is not ethical. Student has to think really what he has understood, that has to be produced and that has to be presented in the form of the assignment to you. So that should be the facts and figures that is existing in the mentality of the student, in the memory of the student. So that is the ethical way of submitting the assignment. Don't allow the students to copy in the examination hall. So that is not the ethics. Don't allow the students to copy the idea which is already reported by someone else and that should not be implemented in your laboratory. So this is not ethical. That is ethics. That is ethics. Do not give the marks unnecessarily. So I'm just giving some examples. Say, don't have any partiality. Don't have any discrimination between the students, between the learners, between the topics, between the subjects, etc. That is not going to be ethical. If the atmosphere, what we are creating in front of the learners are good enough, ethical, then they will become socially responsible, that we need not to teach them. Making the students to become socially responsible is very, very important because they are the futures. They are the nation builders. The 1 hour of the lecture, what we do, what we deliver in the classroom, that is going to build a big building in the dream of a student. They will build their career. Please remember these things so that they have to become socially responsible. the way they have to learn in such a way that it should be lifelong. It should not be stopped. Whether it is a simple topic or a complex topic, once they start learning, today they have completed undergraduate degree or post-graduation degree, they have to go for research. Even after completing the PhD degree, they will continue the research. They work to some organizations where the learning should be happening. So this atmosphere will be created right from the elementary level. If it was not possible in the elementary level, you do it, because we, the teachers in the higher education institutions, have got better opportunity in molding the students as per their shape, as per their dreams. So if they inculcate all these above, they will become globally competent. They can compete with the global citizen. So along with that, digital literacy, most of the students will say that I am very weak in the computer knowledge, sir. No, that should not be. We are living in the era of the artificial intelligence. So you might have seen in the newspaper that IBM has started implementing artificial intelligence in the human resource sections. So you think another 5-year scenario, if the students what you are teaching are not good enough with respect to digital literacy, they will have the digital divide, and this digital divide is going to make them to be away from the career opportunities. Okay. So you are sure they should acquire the digital knowledge. Digital literacy is of paramount importance. Then innovation and creativity. The knowledge, what they are getting should be innovative. They should have the creative mentality. If they are innovative enough, if they are creative enough, then they will become competitive. Their competency will be very high. Sorry. So these are to be integrated in the curriculum. These graduate attributes can't be simply taught in the classroom. They are to be integrated in the curriculum. By integrating in the curriculum, students can have the experience. If they are getting the experience, you can make the assessment, you can collect the feedback from them, and you can make them to undergo some extracurricular activities so that all these graduate attributes are acquired by the students. So if the students, along with the undergraduate degree or post-graduation degree, they have got all these graduate attributes, they are employable, they are grown personally, and they have created a societal impact. So this is what teachers are to concentrate. We need not to concentrate only on classroom teaching. We have to make sure that the graduate attributes are acquired by the students. Right. Okay. Let us move into the outcome-based education to a wider aspect. You know the definition of some terms under outcome-based education. First one is a course. You simply assume, so far you are calling as a paper, history paper, mathematics paper, physics paper, computer application paper, all these are called as courses. So under outcome-based education, you cannot call them as papers. They are to be courses. Next is the course outcome. Course outcome can be simply defined as it is a statement. It is a technical statement which states what the student is capable enough after completion of the study of that particular course. Say, for example, in BA first semester, there is a history course. After passing that history course, what competency he has acquired, what graduate attribute he has acquired, what the subject knowledge he has acquired. That is the course outcome. So this is assessed at the end of the semester. So if you have a course, if you have history paper, if you have mathematics paper, 3 or more course outcomes are prescribed, and that should be in the curriculum. Then comes program. Program is nothing but that is a degree. That is the degree. It is BA or BCom, BBA, BCA. This is a program. A bachelor's degree it may be, or a master's degree it may be, or a doctoral degree it may be. That is known as program. Program outcomes. What are program outcomes? Program outcomes are narrow statements. So by the time of graduation, what student is expected to get? So a BA is studied by the student. A student has passed BA program or BSc program. What graduate attributes along with the BA program he has got, he has acquired? That is the program outcome. So what students are expected to be able to do by the time of graduation. So these program outcomes are to be really aligned with the graduate attributes. They are twins. Graduate attributes and program outcomes are twins. One cannot live without the other. Then program educational objectives. These program educational objectives are the achievements of the graduate who has studied in your college. Suppose a student has completed the BSc degree from your institution. After few years, 2-3 years, what he is doing in his career, whether he is really relishing, really shining. How? In a way that you have prescribed in your curriculum. You have a curriculum. So global competent curriculum, global standard curriculum we have implemented. We used to say that. So as per the expectation in that curriculum, your student is relishing, your student is shining. That should be reflected by his performance. So they are all under program educational objectives. So these program educational objectives, PEOs, they are the expected achievements of graduates in their career. This should be assessed in the first few years after graduation, say 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. You contact the employer where your student is working. You contact your alumni. Then measure, then assess. That give you the outcome. That is program educational objective. Then program specific outcomes. These are specific to the discipline. During the time of graduation, what are the skills? What are the capacities? What are the competencies the student has obtained? It may be BA degree. BA degree will be having its own specific program specific outcome. BE will be having its own specific program outcome. BSc will be like this. So program specific outcomes and program outcomes are different. Program specific outcomes may be put or may not be given in the curriculum, but program outcomes are compulsorily to be prescribed for any program, for any bachelor's or master's degree program. Then, as I already told you, the graduate attributes are the relative qualities or the competencies acquired by a graduate from the program during the course of tenure. Okay, so this is all about while teaching. So you have to keep in your mind the learner-centric education. Next is the assessment. How to assess the students? That is very important. Assessment is not simply conducting some test, making the student to write some assignment, allowing the student to present a seminar, or conducting some open viva examination. They are all conventional mode of assessment. By using those components, those many components, we have to assess the students very systematically. So this systematic assessment will make the student to undergo various assessment levels according to his learning capabilities, what kind of competencies he has acquired, that will be assessed in this mode of assessment. So this will be done in accordance to Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy was proposed in the year 1956 by Benjamin Bloom, who was an educational psychologist. And this was created to promote evaluating concepts, processes, procedures, and principles rather than the rote learning process. Rote learning is simply assessing the student by looking at the answer, what he has written in the answer script, or assessing the student by listening to the student, what he has reproduced by by-hearting the thing given in the textbook. That is rote learning. Bloom's taxonomy recommends not rote learning, various steps you have to follow in order to assess a student. So this normal Bloom's taxonomy had several limitations. And don't worry about that. Subsequently, that has been modified in the year 2001 in order to promote higher order thinkings. And this has to be reflected during the assessment of the student. That Bloom's taxonomy is known as modified Bloom's taxonomy. You can see here, there are three pyramids. One is the Bloom's taxonomy proposed in the year 1956. It is to assess the students based on the knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So you have to assess the student by considering the cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor skills. And these are included when you assess a student very, very systematically, and the level of understanding of the student in various stages. And that is reflected in the modified Bloom's taxonomy or 2001 version. What is this? Student can be assessed based on his ability to remember the concepts, to understand the concepts, to apply the knowledge, what the knowledge he has really acquired, to analyze the scenario, to analyze the specific problem, to solve the problem, to evaluate the outcome, why it has come, and to create new schemes, to create the new platforms, or to create the new subject, new tasks. So this is modified Bloom's taxonomy. So in this pyramid, all the levels are from bottom to top approach. The bottom levels are known as lower order thinking skills, and the top level components are known as higher order thinking skills. You can simply call this as level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, and level 6. But totally, there are 6 levels in modified Bloom's taxonomy, right from remembering to the creating level. When you give a question in the question paper, what is, why is, where is, when is, all these will be belonging to remember level. So these remember questions are to be given in a very few numbers. When you set a question paper to the student, as far as this outcome-based education framework is concerned, you have to concentrate setting the question paper by including all these levels. Student has to produce the answer by remembering the concepts with his understanding ability, with his knowledge to be applied, with the analytical skills, evaluating the problem and creating something new. So all these things should be given. Literally, if we speak nowadays, if we take our question paper, all our question papers are containing the questions only to remember level, or if we extend to the understand level. So majorly, we will go up to understanding level. We won't give any questions related to apply level. Of course, in science subjects, we will be giving some numerical problems. Those numerical problems are solved in the classroom. So what the student will be doing, he will remember, or the student will be remembering the problem which has been solved in the classroom, and he will reproduce the same answer. That is not the applying level. You have to give something new, and he has to realize that, and he has to apply the knowledge what he has acquired during the course of study. Then he has to write appropriate answer. That is apply level. This is all about the Bloom's taxonomy level. So make sure that under the outcome-based education framework, you have to set the question paper in such a way that your questions should cover all these 6 levels. Remember level, understand level, apply level, analyze level, evaluation, and create level. Okay. So how to set the paper? What are the keywords you have to include? That is very important. You can see this particular table. For all the 6 levels, what is the level of the attainment and what keywords you are supposed to use in the question paper? You carefully observe. So if you're asking a question related to remember level, student will reproduce the answer by recalling from memory. So he has learned something from a photocopy notes what you have provided either through WhatsApp or email or something else, or a photocopy notes provided to him manually, or the notes dictated in the classroom. Something the student is able to remember. With that memory, he will reproduce the answer. That's it. So that is remember level. So you will ask the question by introducing the keywords such as define, list, recall, identify, what is, where is, when is, how is, etc. So these are the keywords you can use in the question paper. Then understanding level. In order to answer the questions with the understanding level of the student, he has to explain the ideas or concepts by the knowledge which he is remembering or she is remembering. What keywords he can use? Describe, explain, summarize, interpret, bring an outline, write a note on, etc. So these are all the keywords you will use in the question paper. Then applying level. Applying level is important one for a student to produce the answer using information in another familiar situation. In another familiar situation, say, while performing an experiment, one particular principle you have taught him that must be applicable to another scenario. Say, the student is capable to prepare a budget for elevating or removing the poverty in rural area, you assume. That is the knowledge he has acquired. That knowledge should be applied by the economic students to prepare a budget to remove the divide in socially tribal people. This is what the applying level. He has to apply the knowledge. One exothermic reaction he has understood that should be utilized to the research context. That is the apply level. So one idol has been created by a creator. So the same type of the stone is to be used or rock is to be used to create another idol of another god or goddess. That is the application of the knowledge. So what are the keywords you have to use? Use, implement, solve, demonstrate, apply, or utilize, etc. These are the keywords you can use to ask the question. Then analytical level, where the critical thinking skills of the student should be showcased. When you ask a student to write the answer by analyzing the situation, where the critical or problem solving skills are showcased or reflected. The quality answer, if you wanted to expect, if you wanted to write the student. So the student has to write the answer by breaking the information into parts, and he has to explore the understanding and the relationship. It is simply puzzling. The process of puzzling. What do you do in puzzling? They are all randomly mixed and systematically they have to brought to some systematic position, some expected position. That is puzzling. So that is problem solving skill. So doctors will be doing that various parts of human body are separated and they will be asked to assemble them. If a computer science student, computer parts are separated and he will be asked to assemble a computer. So mobile phone will be given to your son or daughter. You ask him to assemble the mobile phone using the parts. So these are all analytical skills, problem solving skills. So what are the keywords you will use? Differentiate, compare, contrast, categorize, analyze, apply your analytical knowledge, utilize the scenario, etc. These are the specific keywords you have to use while setting the question paper. Then the evaluation level. Here, the answers are given by justifying a decision or course of action. Course of action. Say, during the rainy season, in Kodagu itself, rain will be more. Why? You have to evaluate. It is a catchment area. It is a forestry area. More trees are there. So Talakaveri originates there. So there are several reasons for that. That is evaluation. That is evaluation. So what are the salient features of the disease? What are the salient features of the disease? So you have to see very carefully while looking at the condition of a patient. You are able to say, yes, this is the disease. The person is suffering from high fever, cold, headache, etc. This is the evaluation skill. So the keywords you can use to ask the question to this level, evaluation level, are judge, critique, assess, recommend, evaluate, etc. Then create level. Creation level are the topmost level. These analytical skills, evaluation skills, and creating skills are higher order thinking skills. HOTS, we will call them as HOTS, HOTS. First three are called as LOTS, LOTS. So the higher order thinking skill is create level, where the learner has to use new ideas, products, or new ways of viewing the things or developments to write the answer. How the answer should be justifiable. The answer should be convincing to the evaluator, that is you. In the examination, that is going to be you, but in the interview, that is going to be the interviewer. In the industry context, that is going to be the employer. So dependent upon the scenario, these levels will support the learner. These levels will make the learner to be successful in their career. So to ask the questions related to create level, you can introduce the keyword such as create, design, construct, fabricate, prepare, plan, invent, present, etc. Or elucidate, interpret, depict, give the schematic. These are all the create level questions. So I hope these keywords are caught by you. In the future question papers, you will convert your question paper into outcome-based education framework question paper, where the students are to produce the answers with respect to these lots and odds. Okay, this is all about setting the question paper for assessment. Okay, you are setting the question paper for the assessment in this manner. How to teach in order to expect better answers from the students? There are various teaching methodologies you have to follow. This conventional chalk and talk method is not going to be sufficient. Of course, even it is comfortable for me. Various other methods you have to follow, you have to adapt in your classroom. You have to create an opportunity to use flipped mode. Flipped mode is nothing but you give the content to the learner on the previous day of your lecture. Let the learner study that. Today you have the class, you discuss that in the classroom. What students have studied from the content you have provided to the learner, then what gaps they are really suffering, you address them. That is flipped mode of teaching. Then group discussion. Create a small group. Make a group of 5 students or 10 students in your classroom. Put a question, pose the question. Either you can go on par with the null hypothesis, or by putting various other questions, you can get the answers in either yes or no way, or with the short sentence answers. Discuss the matter, why that is happening. Allow the students to use their higher order thinking skills. According to Bloom's taxonomy, while doing the group discussion, definitely you will find the solution for your question through the experiential learning. The students will learn in the practicals, in the laboratory, in the education trip, in the industry visit, during the internship. Why? They have got some experience. Through the experiential learning, they have got some competency, they have got some knowledge. They will give the answer, they supplement the answer to your question through their experience. So you have taken the students to participate to a visit to botanical garden. So to a visit to an industry, to a visit to a drug company, to a visit to Vidhana Saudha, to a visit to the Samsad Bhavan, etc. You ask appropriate question whether they have really participated and they have really acquired the skills or competency. That can be through participatory learning. You implement projects. It may be a minor project, it may be a major project, whatever it is. Implement them. If the students are subjected to undergo projects, one or the other skills they will acquire. Don't worry about the context of the project. The project may be severe one or the minor one. Solution will be smart. That smart solution will be serving the society. That will upgrade the level of understanding in students. So that's what the national education policy implemented the student projects mandatorily. Even the global education context are having the projects. If you look at the education system in Japan, USA, UK, etc., the undergraduate degree or master's degree curriculum are based on the expertise of the teacher. They are not totally involved with the classroom teaching. Whatever I am interested, I will put that on the website. The learners who are interested to learn what I am going to teach, they will join me. And right from the elementary skills to the advanced skills I will teach, they will acquire the knowledge. That's how the education system. Of course, Indian education system is always beautiful. I am not blaming that. But we have to upgrade ourselves in order to make our students, our graduates to become globally competent. Otherwise, they will be denied the opportunities. Then internships. Put the students for internships. It may be for a small duration or a longer duration. If time permits, let the students visit any industry for a week, for 15 days, for 1 month, or for 6 months, if your curriculum permits. So through the internships, various other aspects they will learn that can't be taught in the classroom. So you have to teach problem solving approach for them. Very frequently, you have to allot the problems to the students. Problems, they are not simply the numerical problems you are giving in the classroom. They are the real-time problems. They are real-time problems with respect to your subject. So if they have acquired the graduate attribute, they have the skills to solve the problem. So this problem solving approach is very, very important. Give case studies. Allot a case study for your commerce student, for your history student, for economic student. Let them study the case. So what are the objectives? What were the methodologies during the construction of the case? Let them understand how to draw the inference from that case study. You summarize that. Let the student present the summary of that case study. What are the insights of that case study? Will it not give the skills for the students? Definitely. Student will acquire the knowledge. So case studies, this is another mode of teaching learning method. Then create a scope for analytical and critical thinking skills. Along with the problem solving approach, you allow the student to analyze the scenario, analyze the situation. Let him think critically. Let him think critically. Why certain circuits are not working, right? Why some compounds are deuterating, right? Why water is bitter in taste? Why water is polluted? Why air is polluted? Why food is not good in taste? If you are a food science student, these are all some instances I am giving. So you can customize, you can navigate the situation as per your requirement, as per your subject. So these are various teaching methods you have to adapt. You are supposed to adapt in your classroom so that the students would be able to become expertise learners, and hence they will become subsequently global competent. Now you recall this picture, outcome-based education framework. So in this outcome-based education framework, everything is systematically interlinked between one and other. How? It will start from teaching learning process. Your job is very, very critical. Your job is very serious, very major one. If you adopt the outcome-based education framework for your routine teaching, your job will become simpler. But you will have the good responsibility, big responsibility in making your student to become globally competent. That should be the objective of your education system. Why you are giving bachelor's degree, why you are giving master's degree to your student? He has to or she has to become employable. The student has to become employable. How he can become employable? With all competencies, with all graduate attributes should be acquired. That's how. How to assess them? You follow various assessment strategies, whether he has learned the subject or not. Assessment is not only to assess the level of understanding in the subject domain, but also the graduate attributes. Then you have to prepare attainments. Attainments are nothing but whether your learner has got 70% attainment or 80% attainment or 90% attainment, etc. This is level of measuring the capabilities of the student through assessment. They are known as attainments. They are known as attainments. So these attainments are from the course outcomes. If you have BA degree, there may be more number of courses: history, economics, political science, Indian constitution, environmental studies, Kannada, English, Sanskrit, Urdu, etc. Each and every course will have their own course outcomes. So those course outcomes are to be assessed and they are to be prepared their attainment reports. Then through the course outcome attainments, you have to evaluate the program outcomes attainments. What are program outcomes? They are the narrow statements. They represents the ability of the student acquired during the tenure of study by the end of graduation. That is program outcomes. These are to be consolidated. A consolidated report is to be prepared by you, and even program specific outcomes or program outcomes are both you have to prepare. They are linked to program learning objectives or program educational objectives. Your institution will have its own educational objective. If course outcome is attained, program outcome is attained, definitely your program educational objective will be attained. If the program educational objective is attained, your institution will be successful. How? You are supporting to achieve the mission. Each and every institution will have its own mission. Once the mission is achieved, the institution is successful in achieving the vision. If you have achieved the vision, then the imagination, the predictions, or the anticipated levels of achievements by the institute is reached. the institution will become successful. Therefore, the institutes will be reflecting globally. So you can create more demand. You need not to do any publicity. You need not to give any advertisement for admissions. If you are good enough in providing quality education is nothing but that must be through this outcome-based education. So teachers are recommended to strictly follow this outcome-based education framework. Okay. You have to remember two important things in outcome-based education, especially for assessment. One component is teaching in the classroom and assuring the students have acquired all the related competencies. That is one component. Another is getting the attainment level of the student through assessments. So assessment is the other component. As I told at the beginning, assessment is not done either singly or any of the multiple ways we are following. How we are doing the assessment now? We conduct the test. We conduct the end semester examination. We assess the student based on assignment or seminar or vivos, etc. That's it. All these are known as direct assessment. So under outcome-based education framework, assessment done using test, seminar, assignments, end semester examinations, vivos, internship, project, field work, field visit, etc. These are all put under direct assessment. Along with the direct assessment, there is another assessment strategy, that is indirect one. What is this indirect assessment? Indirect assessment involves understanding the competency of the student through surveys or feedbacks. Say, a student has completed the bachelor's degree from your higher education institution or master's degree, and he has become employed to a company, to an institute, or to a research institute. Indirect assessment involves with, you have to create a questionnaire putting the outcomes related to the course or outcomes related to the program. Then you have to ask the employer who has provided the job to your alumni, means the student who has studied from your institute, that whether our student has acquired the real competency, problem solving skill, or the program outcomes what have been prescribed in the curriculum. This is the survey, and this should be done from the employer, from the parents of the students. You have to ask the parents of the students whether your son has really acquired the skills or the knowledge required for his employability, for his research or not. This is the survey. You have to give the response related to that program outcome statement. You are also recommended, you are also invited to undergo for survey. Then the peer teachers, the teachers who are in contact with your past students or the students who have passed out from your institution, you have to ask them. This is indirect assessment. This is indirect assessment. Then the outcomes from direct assessment and the indirect assessment should be summarized, and they have to be compared. They have to be compared. What do you get from the comparison? You will get the inference that whether the specific reason has been evolved or not from the direct assessment, you will get the solution for that. Without any bias, have you made the assessment? This question will be answered from the indirect assessment. How? From the direct assessment, the student has scored 99%. In the indirect assessment, the employer is telling that your graduate is not capable to do even simple thing in the laboratory. Even he is not capable to solve a simple problem related to macroeconomics or simple accountancy. So what kind of percentage it is? What kind of competency it is? So this is why we have to compare the results of direct assessment and indirect assessment, through which the real understanding will be attained. And if required, you can modify the assessment strategy for direct as well as indirect assessments. So these are the two building blocks in outcome-based education. One is delivering the goods with an intent to serve the students with all the relevant graduate attributes under the outcome-based education. And the other is assessment strategy. Assessment can't be done very much liberally. Thoroughly 360-degree assessment you have to do. How? By direct assessment and indirect assessment. Results of assessment you have to compare. Wherever required, the improvements are needed, you have to implement. Otherwise, you will not get the transparent outcome. This is what the outcome-based education recommends. So I hope you have understood so far the fundamentals of outcome-based education. So before we move on further, let us take